Have you ever felt like someone turned off the light inside you? As if the world kept spinning outside, but inside your soul, only darkness remained? Welcome to a journey about depression and faith in God, and about how He can bring light even when all seems lost. Stay until the end, because I'm going to share something that could change your perspective forever. You know, there are times in life when sadness isn't just a passing feeling. It arrives slowly, settles in like a heavy shadow, and begins to occupy every corner of your soul. It's when you wake up in the morning and feel like the world is colorless. Things that once brought joy now seem empty. And the worst part is, you don't always understand why. Spiritual depression, she doesn't announce when she's coming. She simply takes charge. It's like being in a room where the light has suddenly been turned off. Your eyes try to adjust, but the darkness is so dense that you can't even see your own hand. And then comes that agonizing feeling. Does anyone notice what I'm feeling? Does anyone understand this pain? The truth is that many people around you may not even imagine the silent battle you face every day. The Bible knows this darkness well. In Psalm 88, verse 6, the psalmist cries out, "You have put me in the deepest pit, in darkness and in the depths." See, even in the scriptures we find people who have known this dark place, and this shows us something important. You are not alone in this struggle. God is not afraid of your pain. He doesn't turn His face away when you feel like you're sinking. What makes it depression and spirituality? That's precisely why they are so intertwined. When the soul falls ill, our entire being is affected. It's not weakness, it's not a lack of faith. It's a real battle that needs to be faced with courage, support, and above all, with the presence of God. Because there's something the darkness doesn't want you to know. It's not eternal. There is a divine light in the darkness, even if you can't see it now. And when the world darkens around you, when you feel like you've lost your footing, that's exactly when God begins to work in ways you can't even imagine. Because He not only knows your pain, He's about to do something about it. But what happens when that darkness becomes so deep that even your voice disappears? There's a kind of pain that doesn't make a sound. It doesn't scream. It doesn't call attention. But what's happening inside? Inside, it's destroying everything. It's the deafening silence of someone struggling to survive emotionally, but unable to put their feelings into words. You smile when you need to, you answer, "I'm fine," when asked, but the truth is, you're slowly falling apart, and nobody sees it. This emptiness has weight. It seems contradictory, right? How can something empty weigh so much? But those who have been through it know deep sadness. It takes up space, steals energy, extinguishes dreams. You look to the future and see nothing. You look to the present and feel nothing. It's as if you're floating in a dark sea without direction, without the strength to swim, just existing. And that's exhausting, extremely exhausting. The Bible tells us the story of a man who knew this deafening silence well. His name? Job. Imagine the scene. An upright, God-fearing man who in a matter of days loses everything, his children, his wealth, his health. Job sat amidst the ashes, covered in sores, and spent 7 days in complete silence. 7 days! His friends were there, but he couldn't speak. The pain was too great for words. But you know what's fascinating about this story? Even in silence, even in unbearable pain, Job did not abandon his search for God. He questioned, he wept, he expressed his anguish in a raw and honest way. And God heard every silent sigh. Because the Lord doesn't need eloquent words, He understands the language of a broken heart. Job 23:10 shows us faith amidst chaos. But He knows my way. If He were to test me, I would come out like gold. When you're at rock bottom, when the spiritual depression, it even takes away your will to pray, remember, God is listening to what you can't even say. That tightness in your chest, He feels it. Those tears that fall alone in the early morning, He collects each one. Psalm 56:8 says that God keeps our tears in a bottle. This means that none of your pain goes unnoticed by Him. How to deal with spiritual depression? It begins right here, allowing yourself to feel without guilt, recognizing that the struggle is real, but that there is someone greater than it, someone who doesn't tire of you, doesn't give up on you, and is waiting for the right moment to act. Because in the deepest silence of your soul, something is about to happen. What if I told you that this silence is actually preparation for a cry that will change everything? There are times when the soul reaches its limit. There's no more strength to pretend, no more energy to endure alone. That's when that cry arises, not always in words, sometimes only in thought, sometimes only in tears. God, if you are there, help me. Just like that, just like that, just like that, desperate. This cry doesn't need to be beautiful. It doesn't need to follow formal prayer rules. It can just be a why whispered into the pillow. It can be a how long shouted into the emptiness of the room. It can simply be that moment when you lift your eyes to heaven and think, I can't take it anymore. And you know what's incredible? God answers exactly that kind of prayer because He's not looking for religious words. He's looking for sincere hearts. God in times of pain, it's like a father who sees his child fall and runs to help. He doesn't wait for you to get better before appearing. No, He comes to you in the midst of the mess, in the midst of the pain, in the midst of the despair. And sometimes the answer doesn't come the way you imagine. It's not an instant miracle, it's not an audible voice, but it's real. It might be an inexplicable peace that invades your chest. It might be someone who calls at the right time. It might be a biblical reminder that calms your mind. King David, that giant of faith, also had his moments of emotional collapse. In Psalm 142:1-2, he writes, With my voice I cry out to the Lord. With my voice I plead with the Lord for mercy. I pour out my anguish to Him. I tell Him my trouble. Did you see the sincerity? He doesn't hide anything. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. He pours everything out before God. And that's exactly what you can do. Hope in God in sorrow. It doesn't mean denying what you're feeling. It means taking all of that to Him, placing it in His hands, and trusting that He is weaving something you can't yet see. Because when you cry out, even without strength, even without unwavering faith, God inclines to hear you. He is not far away. He never has been. And here's the secret that few realize. Crying out to God is already the first step to victory. Because when you acknowledge that you need help, when you surrender your pain to God, you open a space for Him to act. And He will act. You can be sure of that. Isaiah 41:10 promises, Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. But how does this promise begin to be fulfilled in practice? And then something begins to change, not explosively, not with fireworks, but subtly, like a thin thread of light piercing the darkness. You don't even realize where it came from, but suddenly it's there. A lighter breath, a less heavy thought, a moment of unexpected relief. It's as if God had lit a tiny candle inside your heart. It could be a song you listen to that speaks directly to your soul. It could be a verse you read that seems to have been written just for you. It could be a hug from someone you least expected, but it's there. God brings light into the darkness. Even when you haven't directly asked, even when you're still trying to understand what's happening, because that's how He is. Faithful, present, attentive. This initial light doesn't solve everything at once. It doesn't instantly erase all sadness. But it does something fundamental. It shows you that hope still exists. It reminds you that you are not abandoned. Psalm 34:18 assures us, The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. This is not poetry. It is a promise fulfilled in real time in the life of the one who cries out. Oh, and if this message is touching your heart, leave a like below and subscribe to the channel. Because every week I bring content like this to strengthen your faith and remind you that God is near. Now come with me, because the best is yet to come. Do you know what's fascinating about how God heals a sad soul? He respects your time. He doesn't force you to get better overnight. He heals you little by little, layer by layer, wound by wound. And while that happens, he plants seeds of hope within you that will one day bloom. You may not see them now, but they are there. How to find light in difficult times. It starts here, paying attention to God's little signs. That morning when you woke up feeling a little lighter. That day when you managed to smile, even if only for a second. That moment when you felt like trying again. All of this is his work. All of this is divine light penetrating your darkest night. And that light, however small it may seem now, carries within it the power to transform everything. Because when God ignites something within you, nothing can completely extinguish it. The storm may continue outside, the struggle may still be intense, but within you an irreversible process has begun, the process of restoration. But wait, what if that light isn't just a fleeting flash, but the beginning of something much bigger? Faith doesn't arrive knocking on the door like a pushy salesman. No, it comes like a gentle whisper in the middle of the night, almost imperceptible. It's that soft voice that says, "Get up, just one more day. You can do it." And you don't even know if it's your own conscience or if it's God speaking directly to your spirit. But something inside you responds, something small but alive. It's funny how the faith to overcome emotional darkness, it doesn't require you to be strong. In fact, it works best when you are weak, because it is in weakness that God shows his power. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be okay to start believing again. You just need to give a quiet yes to that whisper that won't let you give up. Remember the prophet Elijah? After a giant spiritual victory, he suffered an emotional breakdown. He fled to the desert, sat under a tree, and asked to die. Yes, a prophet of God asking to die. And do you know what God did? He didn't judge him. He didn't rebuke him. He sent an angel to prepare food for him, let him rest, and then whispered. In 1 Kings 19:12 it says that God was not in the strong wind, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire, but in a soft and quiet breath. Sometimes we expect God to appear with thunder and supernatural signs, but the truth is, he likes to whisper. Because whispering requires you to draw near, to pay attention, to silence the noise around you in order to hear. And when you hear, something changes inside you. It's not an explosion, it's more like an anchor that holds you when the waves try to drag you away. How to overcome depression with faith. It involves understanding that you don't need perfect faith. You need honest faith. The kind that says, "I don't know how it's going to be, but I choose to trust." The kind that admits, "I'm still afraid, but I'm going to try." Because God isn't expecting you to be a spiritual superhero. He just wants you to put your hand in his and let him guide you, even if it's step by step, stumbling, but moving forward. And do you know what the most beautiful part of all this is? When you respond to the whisper of faith, when you choose to believe even without being sure of anything, you are opening a door that was locked. A door that gives access to a strength you never knew you had. Because this strength doesn't come from you, it comes from him. And when God strengthens someone, the darkness begins to recede. And that's exactly where the real turning point begins. The moment you stop being just a victim and become a warrior. Getting out of a rut doesn't happen in a single leap. It happens in one step, just one. Small, tremendous, but essential. It's when you wake up and decide, "Today I'm going to get out of bed." Sounds simple. For those who have never been through it, depression and faith in God, it might sound silly. But for those who are there, getting out of bed can be the hardest victory of the day. This first step is sacred because it represents something much greater than physical movement. It represents choice. You are choosing to fight, even without strength. You are choosing to believe, even without guarantees. And God, he sees this, he values this. Every step you take, however small, is celebrated in heaven as a monumental victory. Think about it. When a child is learning to walk, what do parents do? They don't demand that they run a marathon. They don't expect perfection. They celebrate every wobbly step, every attempt, every time the child gets up after falling. And that's exactly how God sees you now. He's not disappointed with your slowness. He's proud of your courage, overcoming sadness with faith. It's not about waking up one day completely healed. It's about building, brick by brick, a new emotional and spiritual structure. It's about learning to trust again, to dream again, to believe that life can be good again. And every small victory, every day you persevere, every negative thought you reject, every moment you choose to pray instead of giving up, is a step up the ladder that lifts you from the bottom. The Apostle Paul understood this when he wrote in Philippians 4:13, "I can do all things through him who strengthens me." Pay attention. He didn't say, "I can do all things alone." He said, "Through him who strengthens me." The strength doesn't have to come from you. You just need to take the step, and God provides the energy for every movement. God's help in depression, it works like this: partnership. You walk, he sustains. You try, he completes. And here's the secret. The more you walk, the stronger you become. Not because you're special, but because each step with God strengthens your faith, restores your confidence, and rebuilds your hope. And before you know it, that first trembling step of fear has already transformed into firmer steps. Is the ladder still long? Perhaps. But you're no longer paralyzed at the bottom. You're climbing. But there's something you need to know. The journey is never without opposition, and the real battle is about to begin. Here's where things get serious. Because when you start to rise, when the light starts to grow, the darkness doesn't stand still. It reacts, it fights, and then the war begins. A real intense war that happens both inside and outside of you. The thoughts return with force. You won't succeed. This won't work. You always fail. And outside, circumstances seem to conspire against you. But now there's a crucial difference. You're no longer defenseless. You have something you didn't have before: faith to face dark days. You have learned to hear God's whisper. You have taken your first steps. And that changes everything, because now you know you are not alone in this battle. You have a general by your side, and he has never lost a war. The Bible is quite straightforward about this. Ephesians 6:12 says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." In other words, there is a spiritual dimension to this struggle. It's not all just brain chemistry, although that's important and valid. There is a real force trying to keep you trapped in darkness. But there is a greater force, infinitely greater, fighting for you. This battle has its hard moments. There are days when you wake up and the sadness is there again, as heavy as ever. There are nights when the fear returns and you question whether you are really getting better. But here's the difference. You have learned to fight. You have learned to use God's word as a sword. When negative thoughts come, you respond with biblical truth. When fear strikes, you declare the promises God has made. And you know what happens when you fight with the right weapons. You start to win, not overnight, but battle by battle, thought by thought, day by day. Depression and Christian hope, they can coexist. You can be battling depression and at the same time clinging to the hope that God is at work. It's not contradictory, it's realistic, it's human, it's true faith. And there's a beautiful thing happening while you're fighting. You're being strengthened. Every battle you face, every time you choose to believe, instead of giving up, you're being transformed into a spiritual warrior. The person who comes out of this war is not the same person who went into it, because God doesn't just deliver you, he transforms you in the process. And when you least expect it, at the height of the battle, something extraordinary happens. And then it happens. You can't quite explain how or when exactly, but it happens. It's as if a door opens in the sky and a light, not physical but real, pierces through all the darkness and strikes you right in the chest. Peace. Sudden, inexplicable, profound. You feel a warmth that comes from nowhere, a presence that cannot be seen but is undeniable. And you know without a shadow of a doubt, God is here. This is the moment that changes everything, not because your problems magically disappeared, not because life suddenly became perfect, but because something within you was touched by the divine. God brings hope to the heart, not as a beautiful theory, but as a lived experience. It's when you understand, deep in your soul, that everything will be all right, not because you are strong, but because He is. There's a story in the Gospel of Mark that always moves me. It's about a blind man named Bartimaeus. He was sitting by the roadside begging when he heard Jesus passing by. And he began to shout, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." People told him to be quiet, but he shouted even louder, and Jesus stopped. He called him, and when Bartimaeus came near, Jesus asked, "What do you want me to do for you?" And Bartimaeus replied, "Master, that I may see." And do you know what Jesus said? "Go, your faith has saved you." And immediately Bartimaeus received his sight. Mark 10:52. That is the power of God when He decides to intervene. The darkness may have lasted for years, but when the light of Christ breaks through, it breaks through with authority. Emotional healing through faith. It's not a legend. It's a documented reality spanning millennia and confirmed in millions of lives to this day. When God touches you, it's not superficial, it's not temporary, it's profound. It's as if He takes every broken piece of your soul and begins to put it all back together, only better than it was before. You feel like you're being reassembled, renewed, restored. And in that process, something dies, the old you, the one who was trapped in darkness, and something is born, a version of you that knows God's faithfulness in a depth that only those who have been through the valley can know. God heals the wounded heart in a way that only He knows how, with love, with patience, with surgical precision. He doesn't ignore your wounds, He heals them. He doesn't minimize your pain, He transforms it into a testimony. And when you look back and see where God brought you from, you can't help but cry tears of gratitude, because you know it wasn't luck, it was grace. It was mercy. It was God being God. And when the light breaks through, you discover something surprising. Your soul is breathing again. Have you ever stopped to think about how good it feels to breathe? We don't even realize it, do we? It's automatic. But when you're short of breath, when you're suffocating, you'd give anything for a deep breath. And that's exactly what happens when God begins to restore you. Your heart starts breathing again. It's no longer that constant tightness in your chest. It's no longer that weight that prevents you from living. It's lightness. Finally, spiritual comfort in sadness. It's more than just pretty words in a framed verse on the wall. It's fresh air entering lungs that were collapsed. It's life returning to places that were dead inside. And the most beautiful part, this restoration isn't instantaneous in the sense of happening all at once. But it's immediate in the sense that it begins exactly when you need it. God has perfect timing. He's never late. Restoration has layers. First, He cares for your soul, bringing peace, calming the inner storm, removing panic. Then He cares for your mind, renewing your thoughts, teaching you to think healthily, showing you how to reject the lies you've believed for so long. And little by little, He cares for your body. Because yes, depression affects you physically too, and God cares for every part of you. There's a beautiful verse in Jeremiah 30:17 that says, "For I will restore health to you and heal your wounds, declares the Lord." This is a promise. It's not a maybe. It's not an if you deserve it. And it's a divine declaration. I will restore you. I will heal you. And when God makes a promise, consider it done. Could it take time? Maybe. But it will happen, because He is not a man that He should lie. Hope in God in sorrow, it teaches you something fundamental. You don't have to be okay alone. In fact, you never could. But with God restoring you from the inside out, everything changes. You start noticing the little joys again. The taste of food returns. The beauty of simple things touches you again. You laugh, and this time it's genuine. You dream, and this time you believe it's possible. And you know what's even more incredible? While God restores you, He also prepares you. He prepares you for a new life, for a new purpose, for a version of yourself you never imagined existed, because God never wastes pain. He always transforms what the enemy used to destroy you into something that will strengthen you and bless many other people. But this restoration is not the end. It is the beginning of something much bigger. There's a difference between surviving and living. For a long time, perhaps you were just surviving, waking up, breathing, sleeping, repeating. But now God is teaching you to truly live, to rebuild not just the rubble, but to create something entirely new, something that never existed before. Because when God rebuilds, He always makes it better than the original. Rebuilding the soul is an active process. It's not about sitting and waiting for God to do everything alone. It's a partnership. You collaborate. You seek His presence. You read the Word. You pray. You worship, even when you don't feel like it. You choose to forgive. You choose to believe. And with each right choice, God places another brick in the new structure He is building within you. Faith to face dark days. It stops being theory and becomes a lifestyle. You learn that bad days will still exist because that's just how life is, but that they no longer have power over you. You've learned to walk through the darkness with God by your side, and that changes everything because you're no longer afraid of what might come. You know who is with you. Nehemiah was a man who understood the concept of reconstruction well. The walls of Jerusalem were destroyed. The people were discouraged. It seemed impossible to restore everything. But Nehemiah didn't give up. He organized the people, prayed, worked, and faced enormous opposition. And you know what happened? In 52 days, the wall was rebuilt. Nehemiah 6:15-16. Impossible, not for God. And the same truth applies to you. What seemed too destroyed to be repaired, God is rebuilding faster than you imagine. Overcoming depression with faith involves letting God reshape your mind. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." This means you will need to unlearn lies and relearn truths. You will need to replace "I am worthless" with "I am precious in God's eyes." You will need to exchange "I will always be like this," for God is transforming me day by day. And as you walk this path back to life, something extraordinary happens. You look back and see the journey. You see where you came from. You see how many times you almost gave up but didn't. You see God's faithfulness at every turn of the road, and you realize that you are no longer just rebuilding, you are becoming a masterpiece, because in God's hands, even ruins become monuments of grace. And now the time has come for you to discover what I promised at the beginning, the truth that changes everything. We've reached the most important point in this entire journey, and I need you to pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you. God not only brings light into the darkness, He doesn't light a candle for you and then leave. No, He stays. He becomes the constant light of your life. He's not a temporary solution. He's an eternal presence. John 8:12 records Jesus saying, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." Did you grasp the depth of this? You will not walk in darkness. Not maybe you won't. Not it might be that you'll avoid it. You will not walk in it. It's an absolute promise, because when you have Christ, you have permanent light. Storms may come, nights may be long, but you will never again be in total darkness. Never again. And do you know what that means for you, who went through what you went through? It means that all of that, all the pain, all the struggle, all the darkness was not in vain. God took the worst phase of your life and transformed it into the most powerful testimony you could have. Because now you know God in a way that people who have never been through the valley will never know. You know that He is real. You know that He fulfills His promises. You know that He does not abandon you. Depression and faith in God, these two concepts that seemed impossible to coexist, now make sense to you. Because you understand that having faith doesn't mean never having problems. Having faith is being certain that even in the midst of problems, God is present. Having faith is knowing that the darkness may be intense, but the light always wins. Always, without exception. Now look at what you've become. Someone who can look at another person going through what you went through and say with authority, not theory, but the authority of someone who has lived it, "You will get through this. God will get you out of there. I am living proof." This is the purpose that is born from pain. This is the ministry that arises from suffering. You were healed not only for your own happiness, but to be an instrument of healing in the lives of others. 2 Corinthians 1:3-4 says, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any trouble with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God." Did you see? The comfort you received wasn't just for you. It was meant to overflow. It was meant to reach others. And what about the future? You don't need to be afraid anymore. You don't need to be anxious thinking, what if the depression returns? Because now you know the secret. Hope in God in sorrow. It's not blind optimism. It's unwavering trust in someone who has already proven his faithfulness. You know the way. You know where to run. You have the everlasting light. So let me tell you one last thing. And I want this to be engraved in your heart. You didn't win alone, and that's exactly why you don't need to fear tomorrow, because the same God who pulled you out of the pit, who brought light into your darkness, who restored your soul, He hasn't changed. He won't go away. He won't abandon you. The light that began to shine within you, it will continue. It will grow. It will spread, because when God lights a flame, no one can extinguish it. If you've made it this far, let me ask you a very direct question. What's stopping you from surrendering your struggle to God right now? Not tomorrow, not when you feel better. Now, with all the mess, with all the fear, with all the pain, He's waiting. He wants to embrace you. He wants to bring light where there is only darkness. If this message touched you, I want to ask you two things. First, share this video. Because you never know who on your contact list is going through exactly this and needs to hear that they're not alone. Second, leave a comment below telling a little bit of your story. It doesn't need to be detailed, but leave this written. I believe God will get me through this, because declaring it with your mouth strengthens faith in your heart. Depression and faith in God. How can God bring light in times of darkness? Hope in God in sorrow. These aren't just keywords. They are realities that can become your story. You don't have to stay in the darkness. You don't have to carry this burden alone. God brings light into the darkness, and He wants to bring light to you. So get up, even if you're trembling, even if you're afraid. Take the first step, cry out to Him, and watch what happens, because I guarantee you, based on the Word of God and the experience of millions of people throughout history, He will answer. He will act. He will restore you. And remember what Isaiah 61 declares, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." This is your moment. This is your time. The light is coming. In fact, it has already begun. You just need to let it grow. May God bless you mightily. May He heal every wound. May He restore every broken area. May He fill you with hope and make you overflow with life. And may you come back here sometime in the future and tell us about the miracle God performed in you. A big hug, stay in peace, and until the next video. And always remember, you are not alone. God is with you, and He never, ever gives up on you.